life in prison, even the death penalty for being gay? In Uganda tonight, that's reality after President Yoweri Museveni signed one of the world's most draconian anti-gay laws, triggering an international backlash, threats of punishment from the U.S., and fears of other African nations following Uganda into an LGBT crackdown.
This is not where I would like to be.
This Ugandan LGBT activist had to flee their country, now living in exile.
You are arresting us for literally doing nothing, for simply existing, But where are we supposed to go? How did we become refugees in our own countries?
The new law punishes gay sex with a life sentence for the crime of promoting homosexuality, 20 years. It was watered down from an earlier version that criminalized merely identifying as LGBTQ. But this version imposes even harsher penalties for what it calls aggravated homosexuality, same-sex relations involving children, people with HIV, or other vulnerable people.
When you commit aggravated homosexuality, the law says you shall be liable to suffer death.
Museveni!
Across the globe, outrage. President Biden calling it shameful. The U.S. saying it will directly impede American aid to Uganda, including in fighting HIV/AIDS.
The enactment of Uganda's Anti-Homosexuality Act is a tragic violation of human rights, of universal human rights.
Even Republican Senator Ted Cruz, not known as a champion of LGBT rights, calling it grotesque, an abomination, while Secretary of State Antony Blinken threatens visa bans on Ugandan officials. But in Uganda, the law's chief backer brushing off U.S. threats.
Let all of us be subjected. In fact, let all Ugandans be denied visas to America, Canada, and the European Union.
As Ugandan lawyers challenge the law in constitutional court, other African nations may follow Uganda's example. Already, 32 of Africa's 54 nations criminalize homosexuality. Those countries make up nearly half of the 67 countries globally where being gay is a crime. In Kenya, Tanzania, and Ghana, there are campaigns underway to replicate the new Ugandan law.
We are delighted to know that Uganda has been able to set the pace. It's a good thing that other countries are also taking up this issue.
Josh Lederman is joining us now. And it's such important reporting, Josh. I'm struck by the person who said, I'm a refugee now in my own country here. You talk about how more than half of African nations criminalize same-sex relationships here. Obviously, death penalty, extreme end of this. But talk about the comparison to punishments that people face in other African nations who are LGBTQ+.
Yeah, it really varies across the continent, Hallie. There are a handful of other countries in addition to this one that do have Sharia law as part of their criminal systems and therefore do have the death penalty on the books as a potential punishment for homosexuality. Then there are other countries like Tanzania and Sudan where they have a life sentence as the maximum punishment available under the law for gay sex acts. But then there are countries that have more limited measures, such as Tanzania, where it is illegal to provide condoms and lube to centers that deal, for example, with HIV/AIDS infection. But it's not just about the formal laws on the books, Hallie, because even in countries in Africa where there are not laws that explicitly outlaw homosexuality, there are very high rates of homophobic crime and even violence targeting LGBTQ people. And on the flip side of this, only one country in the entire continent has legalized same-sex marriage. That country is South Africa. Hallie?
Josh Lederman, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.